Hello and welcome to your July 16th daily briefing. Today we have some exciting updates regarding the next stimulus check and PUA that I think that you're going to be really happy to hear. Then later on in this video, I'm going to cover some news regarding the first stimulus check and some updated retail statistics that I found quite interesting. Before I get started, please consider hitting the like button on this video. I know I ask occasionally, but it really does help out, helps with the YouTube algorithm, and let's jump right in. Starting with unemployment news and the second stimulus check news, they're kind of combined here. This is where we have some really important updates. Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi has signaled her willingness to compromise with Republicans when it comes to PUA. The $600 per week additional unemployment benefit has been a hot button topic for a few months now, as many Republican members are very against it, stating that the payments cause a disincentive to work and it will hinder recovery, where many Democrats say this program should be extended in its full dollar amount and is essential to the economy recovering. So there's a very big gap in between opinions there. The current leanings on the Republican side is that of a more limited PUA program. There hasn't been much talk in the news about doing away with the program altogether recently, and some have suggested lowering the payments to something like $400 a week or lowering payments as a sliding scale based on unemployment levels in each state. Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin has also commented on the size of PUA by saying you can assume that it will be no more than 100% of a worker's previous pay. We have discussed this in the past, that verifying everyone's previous pay and administering unemployment accordingly based on that previous pay is not an easy task, and there will likely be a more simple solution like a lower dollar amount that the other suggestions seem to imply. Now back to Nancy Pelosi. This is the first time that she has agreed that she may be open to negotiations in this area. This is big. This is big because this is the topic that has the biggest disparity in opinion between Democrats and Republicans. My original fear with this disparity in opinion is that if they can't come to a mutual agreement quickly, it could delay the entire next stimulus package. The goal for the next stimulus package is to make it as bipartisan as possible, and I just don't want to see this issue causing a delay in even later stimulus package or other issues because of it. However, it is important to note that it seems Pelosi is only willing to negotiate on PUA if it means more direct payments to the people via a stimulus check. And if you've been watching this channel for a while, you will know that I pretty much predicted this. I had said that PUA and the next stimulus check will be used in negotiation against one another because they both essentially do the same thing: give money directly to the people. I predicted that Republicans will likely agree to another direct stimulus check if it means PUA is lowered in return. Of course, this hasn't played out totally yet, but it appears that those predictions are right on track. So here's a direct quote from Pelosi about PUA and yet another stimulus check. So she said, "That pillar is about putting money into the pockets of the American people. One piece of it is unemployment insurance and the benefit you are talking about. And another part of it is how we put direct payments into the families. So we'll see what the entire package looks like." So you can see that she's talking about both programs being vehicles to get money into people's pockets. Then she goes on to say, "We'll see how it goes with the conversation about that, but some of it depends on what they're willing to do on direct payments as well." Again, this just shows that those two items will likely be used to negotiate against each other. Just to reiterate, we have the Republican side who, on average, doesn't like the $600 per week dollar amount for PUA, but aren't necessarily against a lower dollar amount or aren't against PUA just in general. Most of them seem like they support additional unemployment. Just $600 is too high in most of their opinions. On the same Republican side, on average, many are okay with the idea of another stimulus check, including President Trump, who has voiced his support numerous times for another stimulus. Then we have the Democratic side, whose goal appears to be to get the largest amount of money to the people as possible in this case. They already approved the $1,200 stimulus checks and extension of the $600 PUA through March of next year by voting the HEROES Act in through the House just a few months ago. So we know that the majority, at least in the House, is in support of both of those programs and a significant amount of money to the people. The Democratic side seems to have come to terms with the idea that both the PUA and the stimulus check amount might not be quite as high of a dollar amount as it was in the CARES Act, but there's a good chance to get a decent amount of money to the people by offering some give and take here. So in summary, it sure is a good day for everyone who has their fingers crossed for an additional stimulus check and PUA. I love when I can give some good news. All right, moving on from here, let's go back to the first stimulus check just for a minute. At this point, most of everyone eligible for the first stimulus check received it with a relative low amount of difficulty. But most people does not equal all people. I know I still see comments every single day from people saying they still haven't received the first check. The IRS's last solution to this, if you don't get your stimulus check this year, or maybe you received the wrong dollar amount, you will be able to claim the amount owed to you on your 2020 tax return. Yes, this means you will eventually receive this money, and it's better than not receiving it at all. However, it doesn't address the problem that the stimulus check money was supposed to help everyone right now, not 9 months from now. To address this issue, a bipartisan group of legislators in the House have sent a letter to the IRS urging them to fix the problems for the people who still haven't received the first check. They cite the facts that many people are still left out, many people can't wait until next year to receive their $1,200, and the IRS's telephone line is an absolute nightmare to attempt to navigate and get anything solved. Now, I think that this is a good step in the right direction, but my issue with many of these open letters is they almost always cite problems without offering specific ways to fix the problem. In this letter, they say the IRS should expand their capacity for casework assistance, which, sure, they should. That's pretty obvious. I just think about how, as a business owner, personally, when I need something done, it's my job in most cases to explain how it should be done, to offer a system or a way to complete it. So one way the IRS could handle this better is to have dedicated representatives for those who haven't received a stimulus check yet. This is going to be kind of my solution to this problem. But set up a simple scheduling system where people make appointments with a representative. That way they're not having to sit on hold for 7 hours to talk to someone. Sure, they might have appointments booked up for a month or 2 months or maybe even 3 months, but at least people will know they are in line and their problem is going to get addressed eventually. Right now, it's like I'm going to be on hold for 6 hours and I still might not get a hold of anyone. Once the appointment comes, they will get a call from an IRS representative who will go step by step looking at possible reasons why each person may not have received their check yet. And then, boom, you have a system in place that's much better than the current one. And I'm sure there's problems with that plan too. And will they do something like that? Probably not. But this was the product of 5 minutes of thought, and I'm sure there's even better ideas out there. But just frustrating that there are solutions to things like this. It doesn't have to be such a delay. And I would hope that some of these organizations could look at these problems more like a business than a government entity every once in a while. Let's move on and finish out this video with some news on weekly jobless claims. There's some good news and there's some bad news. The good news is that just about every week in the last 6 or so weeks, we have seen less new jobless claims than the week before. This week we saw 10,000 fewer claims than we did last week. The bad news is we still saw 1,310,000 new claims. That's a lot of people. To put that in reference, the average weekly jobless claims last year was around 200,000 per week. So we're still up 6.5 times what we were at last year. And of the 20 million jobs lost due to the pandemic, about 8 million have been recovered so far. Many of the recovered jobs being in the hospitality and travel industries. And then to finish off this video with some good news, June retail sales were actually up 7.5% from May, according to the Commerce Department. Even more surprising, shocking, if you will, is retail sales were actually up 1.1% in June of 2020 compared to June of 2019. I would have never guessed that. Never in a million years would I have thought that retail sales would be up this year from last year. But that's a wonderful thing to see, and I'm glad to finally see some positive trends coming out of this chaos. Anyways, that's all I have for today. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and check out the link in my description for Webull. If you haven't already signed up, you'll receive 2 completely free stocks once you create an account and deposit $100 into your account. There's no obligation. You can close your account whenever you want, and you'll keep those 2 free stocks. Until next time, I'd like to thank you for watching, and I hope you have a profitable day.